Kingston Area Men's Project is a community-based participatory research study involving Kingston's gay and bisexual men's community, HARS, Kingston's HIV/AIDS Regional Services, and Queen's University. The project grew out of conversations about shared interests between the three groups. A group of 5 dedicated community members became the project's Community Advisory Board. In the spring of 2007, board members facilitated focus groups with members of the community and conducted in-depth interviews with community leaders. Topics of discussion were coming out and being out, involvement and views of the gay community, HIV/AIDS, being gay in Kingston, and experiences of heterosexism and homophobia. Focus group participants reflected a range of ages and occupations. Half of participants were under 30 years old, while half were over 30. Approximately 1/3 of participants were students, 1/3 worked in managerial or technical occupations, and 1/4 were unemployed, disabled, or retired. 2 of the focus groups consisted of HIV-positive men exclusively, and 2 were held in Belleville, a small city 1 hour from Kingston. Nearly 90% of participants reported that they see themselves as being personally part of the gay community. 59% said that they make a point of reading books with gay themes. 69% make a point of going to gay or gay-friendly shops and businesses. 76% make a point of seeing plays or films with gay themes. 77% read gay newspapers or magazines. Most of the participants were more or less out, and although facing a significant amount of fear and anxiety prior to coming out, reported positive coming out experiences. Participants described a sense of personal relief or calm after having come out.
I see 2 benefits of being out in Kingston. One is that I can hold my head up and feel good inside when I'm out. I'm not hiding anything and I feel I have that right. The other benefit is for the people that I'm affecting, because I think I'm teaching people. Even if they have a negative view of us, I'm teaching them things.
Participants described a continuum of being out, whereby in certain situations, notably at work, gay men might not necessarily directly disclose their sexual orientation to coworkers, though they would not try to hide it. According to participants, the social context, who one is with, where one is, can also have an influence on whether or not participants were open about their sexual identity. One finding that may be unique to smaller cities like Kingston was that some participants with family in Kingston reported not wanting to be seen as out when in public, fearing that they might run into relatives to whom they had not disclosed their sexual orientation. Participants in general felt that there was less privacy in a smaller city like Kingston, as compared to what they had experienced or would imagine experiencing in a large city like Toronto. Many participants reported wishing for their gay identity to be only one of many identities they may hold. One younger participant, for example, reported that he would rather be seen as a guy who happens to be gay rather than a gay guy. Many participants also felt strongly that there needed to be at least one identifiable gay space in Kingston for gay men to socialize and meet other gay men. Places participants reported as being spaces where it's easy to be out included the Sleepless Goat Cafe, Ben's Pub, Classic Video, the Toucan Pub, the Grey House on Queen's campus, various hair salons, and downtown Kingston in general. Interestingly, there was some disagreement whether or not it is easy to be out on the Queen's campus. In response to a direct question about whether or not participants would feel comfortable going to the police if they'd been harassed or victimized for being gay, most participants initially reported that they would feel comfortable going to the police. Participants were unclear on what would constitute a good enough reason to go to the police, and some questioned how they would feel filing such a report. One reason some participants gave for not being out was the fear of being stereotyped, with one participant stating,
"Yeah, I guess my big phobia is being flamboyant. I hate being flamboyant, and I try my best not to be flamboyant."
Another said that being out
makes me feel like I'm girly and all this flamboyant stuff. Then people are just gonna pick on me and just see that I'm lower class and stuff like that.
This fear of stereotypes was tied to visibility. Some participants appeared concerned that they would be too visible as gay men if they were outwardly identifiable. Some participants mentioned this fear in relation to not attending gay pride parades or not displaying a rainbow flag. Other participants, conversely, embraced gay stereotypes as a way to assert themselves or to remove the power of comments meant to be hurtful.
Well, I see a sort of strength in flamboyance because it has a power over people and it gets a reaction. It's a powerful reaction because, you know, it actually disturbs people, and I see a strength in that.
Gay and bisexual men in Kingston believe that the lesbian and bisexual women's community in Kingston is more organized than the men's community. Participants were unsure of why that is, though some thought it might have to do with it being harder for men to be out, or because there aren't the leaders in the gay community that there are in the women's community.
We have a vibrant, it seems to me, lesbian community in Kingston, but not a vibrant gay male community. That's what I don't understand. Why are the men so afraid of being gay in Kingston and women don't seem to be afraid of being lesbian? I don't know the answer.
Men mentioned a lack of a central meeting place for the community as a drawback to being gay in Kingston. Some wish for a space that wasn't a bar, such as a community center, while others wish for a gay-identified pub where community members could gather at different times during the day.
I wish there was a building, something that had a sign that was some sort of gay community center, drop-in center, or something. Just one physical place would make a big difference.
Despite the large effect that the HIV/AIDS epidemic has had on gay and bisexual men in Canada, HIV is not discussed in a community context. Men see HIV as an individual issue, not something that affects the community as a whole. Participants reported that they and their friends do not discuss how HIV/AIDS has affected and continues to affect the community.
I actually don't think it's anybody's business. I don't know why anybody would be talking about it in a social context. I really don't. I mean, I can't understand why it would come up in the social context.
Discussions of HIV were understood to be relevant only in sexual contexts, and to be only for an HIV-positive man to disclose his status to potential negative men.
I think he'd have no reason to tell you unless he was going to have sex with you and wanted to give you a choice, I guess.
Men hypothesized as to why HIV is not very visible in Kingston's gay and bisexual men's community, citing fears of gossip and ostracization as reasons for people not to be out about their status. The majority of men were comfortable getting an HIV test in Kingston and knew about available services. Some reported that their doctors were open to providing for their gay male patients specific health needs, including HIV/AIDS testing and treatment. Focus group discussions of homophobia were contradictory. Most participants initially reported that Kingston and the area is not a very homophobic place. Participants also reported feeling, however, that a certain amount of homophobia is inevitable, and told stories of verbal and physical harassment. Queen's campus was frequently seen as a more tolerant space, and the townships viewed as less open than Kingston's downtown core. Men who were affectionate with other men in public experienced more open hostility.
When you're just by yourself, very few people notice the rainbow pin on your backpack, but when you're walking down the street in public holding hands with another guy, that's when it becomes really obvious, and that's when you actually experience the full extent of homophobia in Kingston.
The school I went to had a really good policy about homophobia and violence and stuff like that. I've never even heard of incidents like that getting out of hand. I always felt safe when I went to school, and that says a lot. I can't say that about every school here.
Being out was seen as something that helps to decrease homophobia, as people are less likely to hold negative views of gay and bisexual men if they personally know a gay or bisexual man.
So it's all exposure. Well, maybe not all, and with some people it wouldn't change them at all. But a lot of people, if they realize that their teacher or their coworker or their son or their parent was gay, they would probably have a different outlook on it.
Homophobia has had an impact on participants' lives. One participant reported that he had lost a job due to his boss's homophobia, and another reported losing housing. Despite facing danger from homophobic people, participants reported using various coping strategies to deal with the stress that can result from such danger. Participants had many stories that demonstrated their capacity to respond to homophobia with defiance and humor.
Every time that I would get a new locker, it would have fag carved into it. So then the last time I just took this bright pink highlighter, highlighted so it was nice and big, and told them that if they were going to do it, they should do it so that everybody could see it.
Participants thought that it was important for people in authority to take a stand against homophobia, and felt that supportive leadership helps to create more positive spaces.
I felt the OPP. I was talking to this woman and she said, what did they put on your car? And I said, well, they put fag. And she said, oh my God, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I might leave it there for advertising.